Hello, 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 everybody. Oh boy. What has happened? What has happened to us? Just gonna give you a look for a second. This is not good, guys. We're in a bad spot. A very, very bad spot. A historically bad spot, I may add. A spot we've never been in before. A spot where we've lost 3 consecutive home matches. Something never before done by an Atlanta United team during a season or postseason or anything like that. So this is unprecedented territory we are entering. And yet we still have the same coach for this time period going in. So the question has to be asked. Like how Tommy says in his tweet, ex-Atlanta United Fan TV alumni, is he gone by Monday? Is he? Is he lasting a long time for, the Open Cup, see how he does there? Is he continuing on to the, later in the summer? What do you guys think? We have our ideas. We have some patrons who will give their ideas, and we have some guests that will also give their ideas. But we'll first start with AJ, who was at the game tonight. AJ, tell me, where's your head at right now? Because this is like I said, we are in uncharted waters in terms of how bad a run of form we have entered.
Where's your head? Yeah, it's gone, man. My head's gone. I could hold back, but I'm not going to hold back. And this is a shit show. This is an absolute travesty. And anyone who's still supporting Gonzalo Pineda is engaging in active terrorism against Atlanta United.
Stochastic terrorism.
And it's essentially it is to a point where there is no more patience. There is no more anything Gonzalo Pineda with Atlanta United. It's just straight up, he does need to be gone. And we've had 3+ years to figure out. And yes, there have been given excuses that may be warranted at some point, but now it's pretty much a full strength squad except for Stian Gregerson. And and Derek Williams, who won the job over Luis Abram, but I mean, it's just basically you have an attack that doesn't look like they know what they're doing. They look like individuals, not a team. We have also flawed roster construction. Yes, we have some talent, but we're very thin. We're woefully thin in some areas. And I think it's apparent that when we can't stop crosses, and then Benteke as well in the middle, just bullying Noah Cobb, bullying Luis Abram.
That was child abuse.
It is. It basically is. And I mean, a headed hat trick. Listen, like we all knew the first one was okay. That's pretty unforgivable. But the second one goes in. Okay.
I mean, Noah Cobb got laid out on the first one.
Exactly.
He was on the wrong side of it.
Exactly. Like I was watching Christian Benteke as he just ghosted into space, and he just like Noah Cobb wasn't there. Like Noah Cobb, he's gonna be a good center back, but he doesn't have the experience against a very experienced Christian Benteke.
Yeah, Premier League, ex-Premier League, 19 goals a season, Christian Benteke.
Exactly. Like Crystal Palace, Liverpool, a Belgian international. Like, it's just unfair. So, okay, fair enough. So you almost need to have somebody else to deal with him. So, yes, an Efren Morales maybe doesn't have the experience either, but he's 6'4". He can maybe at least put a body on Christian Benteke and mark him out the game. Because that was the difference. You have, like, I can't imagine that wasn't part of the game plan. But it doesn't seem like it, huh?
I don't know if there is a game plan they could have used against this. When you just,
I feel like there is,
and you think some kind of defensive tactic is going to stop Christian from getting crosses and putting them on net. I think he's gonna, regardless of what we do in any scenario, unless we had Stian, he's gonna get chances. Maybe it's not 3, but he's gonna get them, and he's gonna make a meal out of at least a couple of them.
But I think you double mark him, like, so basically, Luis Abram, or Brooks Lennon, like, basically at any point, you make sure that he cannot get an open look. And
I think he's gonna get it regardless. And I think he's good enough. Like you said, he ghosted Cobb. He'll ghost another person too if he has to. Like it. I mean, it's. They were saying also one of the chatters in the Discord was saying, well, like if we had Cohen instead of Guzan, maybe Cohen's positioning would have, stopped some of these headers. And I thought, well, I mean, if Benteke knew he was going up against Cohen versus Guzan, he maybe have changed how he headed those shots. Now, like when he's going up against 2 defenders who are, trying to body block him or whatever, double on him, then like he may have changed up his whatever he did in order to get around them. Instead, all he had was just one guy, and I mean, we see how that ended. I don't know if Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I push back on the Cohen thing because essentially Cohen's not a known commodity. Like, yes, he's got some experience in Europe. He's got experience in Israeli League and Champions League, but like it's like as far as pedigree, Braguzan, he's got more pedigree to a degree in that sense. But this is the thing. It's known commodity, yes. Braguzan, the deficiencies are known.
Yeah.
But essentially though, it seemed like there wasn't any game plan for Benteke. Like he basically just bullied, all our defenders, and he had his way pretty much most of the night.
Also, the crosses were quite good, I thought too. The service to Benteke was very good,
and that's what their game plan is. So conversely, what's our game plan? Right? We have 3 strikers that are pretty much the same type of striker, which are target forwards. There's some redundancy there. That's not exactly winning football when you only have one type of profile at striker. And Yorgos Giakoumakis, very talented. We all know this, but where was he tonight? Like, we couldn't find him.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the announcers, I think it was Mike Conti, said Brooks Lennon has gone like 500 some minutes without a primary assist, which like is completely beyond what he typically is capable of doing. And it's just like where has he been? Like usually you want to get the ball to Gigi, and we just haven't been doing that. The guy who typically feeds him has been on a drought, so of course Gigi's going to be on a drought. So I mean, they on the other side, they were overperforming their service to Benteke, and we were severely underperforming our service to Gigi at home.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it's this. We are finding new ways to lose. I mean, essentially, we have not lost very much when we have led early, and yet
there we go.
Didn't matter. Like the mentality, incredibly fragile.
Yeah.
It's just the
This is what I was afraid of. Remember I told you about this? I was like, can we not have a mentally fragile team? Like a team that collapses under pressure? And lo and behold, it's like the same thing every year. Like things don't go our way. Oh man, we're not the league leaders. We're not the best in the world immediately. Oh man, we just go to pieces. Oh boy. Whereas like, you have absolute crap teams with, the ownership don't care about them whatsoever, and they're just like kind of trucking through, getting wins here and there, doing fine. But and so their mentality seems to be whatever. They're fine. They're just we're gonna win some, lose some, whatever. Us, it's like, oh, if we're not the best, then screw it. I'm done. I'm gonna collapse. It's like, what is that? It's been years of that.
And we as a fan base, we as a club, the owner, paying too much for 6 winless. That's basically a month and a half in the league where we haven't won. And
not even against good teams too. That's what's frustrating. Yeah. Like these are these were layups. If I remember AJ correctly, I know mine and my prediction for the season, like the Chicago, the DC, these were wins in my book. So
this next month, if we have Gonzalo Pineda at the helm, if we still have, this is the thing, our roster is, like we said, like the depth is not there. And if the starters are not performing, which they're not, well, basically this next month with all the weekday matches and the weekend matches, I shudder.
Yeah.
This is going to be a crap show. The slide could go even further.
It's going to. It's definitely going to.
Rock bottom? I don't think we've hit rock bottom.
No, I don't think so either.
The fixtures coming up are even harder.
Yeah.
Like it at this point, it's really seeing how far this rabbit hole goes if we keep Gonzalo Pineda. And we cannot do that.
Yeah.
Basically, we need that new manager bump. We need that new head coach bump immediately.
Oh, I heard something interesting the other day. I was listening to Sam Jones, and he said, manager bump is a fiction, doesn't exist, because it's a bump for a reason. It's because you go back to exactly what you were after the bump. Mm-hmm. So, you win like a game or so, but you're still crap once the bump goes away. Nothing's been fixed, and you're pretty much where you were. So it's like, good for you got a bump, but that changes nothing. You're still going to have a crap season if you get rid of Pineda, I guess was his point at the time.
Well, see, that's the thing. They were defending that, Gonzalo Pineda he actually has some tactics. Remember that article? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we saw that. There's receipts. It's basically...
he's not the only one. There's a bunch of people who thinks he's got tactics.
Coach has tactics.
Yeah.
All right? Yeah, it's not that... he doesn't have tactics, but the problem is it's not suited to the club. It's not suited to where it's getting the best out of the ability of every of these players, or even some of these players, even our star players.
Yeah,
basically every player has gotten worse.
Yeah,
under Gonzalo
potential MVP caliber player Thiago Almada doing literally like nothing this year. Penalties. That's what he's doing. Yeah. Like that.
Yeah, I mean he's connecting some lines. Like we're still seeing him give a good pass here and there and working hard. Like the effort is there, but the final product is not.
Yeah. All right, but let's before we get too long-winded, let's read the chat and then we're gonna move into our guest portions because we got 3 guests to come on tonight. Jack Dickens says Pineda out. Chris James says he needs to be fired by Monday morning. Period. End of discussion. Travis Long says Pinata out. Jack Dickens says Monday should be out already tonight. Okay. Strong says can't see him leaving, guys. Hope I'm wrong. Gamapig says there appeared to be no signs of effort this evening. It seemed as though Pineda was experiencing a great deal of difficulty and confusion. And then Strong says, yeah, it was a typical evening. Micaiah Holmes says, any idea when the streams are starting? So it has started, just so you know, catching you up. Kevin says, why doesn't Pineda take notes during press conferences? I mean, he used to. I don't think he does anymore because he's like, who cares? Like this, it's, you know. I think also he used to because he was like, trying to learn all the media's names and their questions and stuff like that. But I don't know if he does it so much anymore. Also, it makes him look smarter. Yeah, that's true. Chris James says, bad is an understatement. We have gone on the road. We now go on the road for 2 that will be possibly winless in 7. Drew says, this team is so shit. If only I was able to come on tonight, me and AJ could have a therapy session part 2. The ATL guy, Jack says, I heard the team was booed off the field tonight. I don't know if that's ever happened before. Jack Dickens.
It wasn't exactly booed, but booed at halftime, but not halftime. Booed at full time, not off the pitch. I mean, they did go around and clap the fans. They were, like it was Guzan, Muyumba. I think Lennon was there. I think Cobb was there. Silva was also there. So, good on them. But, and also this. It's like I tweeted out as well that the supporter section mostly sat at the start of the second half kickoff. And then, kind of more of the hardcore ones stood up. But most of it was still sat for the first 5 minutes. Like that's, I think, with good reason. Like if it was a demonstration, loud and clear. Like it's, we can only give so much energy when it's just not reciprocated.
Yeah, it's hard to get up for it too. I mean, just seeing what the product on the field, and you're like, yeah, I'm not feeling the adrenaline, and it's not keeping my old bones, standing up straight. So. All right, so there's quite a few more comments. We got to get through these first. Jack Dickens says, it's not just Pineda. Our team is lacking wingers. The ones we have included, Saba, are not even close to being up to the standard. It was a joke, defensively absolutely unacceptable, poor in every department. Chris James says, you need to be in Benteke's grill. You need to completely disrupt him in every way you can. Go Man Pig says, Pineda really messed up tonight. It's like he's trying to make us lose on purpose. Not that bright. Welcome into the chat tonight. He says Almada has 4 goal contributions and 2 of those are PKs. Yeah, it's been underwhelming. Sniper 19 says simple for me. Poacher striker with inverted winger taking advantage of the open space. 1 advanced playmaker mid. 1 ball winging mid and a defensive mid focus to the left. We have our wingbacks Wiley and Lennon going wide. Cobb is the cover back while Abraham is the standard CB until Williams returns. We can dive into that later. Jack Dickens says, it's going to get worse for sure with this fool as our manager. Sniper also says, I shudder to go to FC in Cincinnati match on Wednesday. I would rather Rob Valentino at this point as he played offensive football. Atlanta United don't have the players to play possession tactics. We're a high-press counter-attacking team. Tadia says, Pineda doesn't know how to implement them. They look lost and uninspired. That's on Pineda. Jeffrey Barber says, we need Jose Martinez back, and we need Ronaldo. Yes, we could use Ronaldo, likely. Sniper 19 says, sorry, I have a long-winded rant and recommended change. No problem, Sniper, we're here for it. ESOJ37 says, bro, we're going to get destroyed by Cincinnati. And it really seems like it, considering they just beat Columbus tonight. Kamek says, oh no, they were definitely booed. My whole section booed them. Sniper says, Mosquera needs to go back on loan as he is not providing much since the 1 game he performed well. Bryson Cicero says, oh no, we suck again. It's a good movie reference. He also says, sign Marcus Rios, and crowd was just as poor as the team tonight. So those were the comments. Keep them coming, guys, as we get our guests coming on.
Yeah, you can't really blame the crowd. I mean, it's a Saturday night, and basically they were giving away tickets, and it was still, a little bit empty. Like, it wasn't a full bowl, obviously, and it was pretty sparsely populated, for sure.
All right.
I don't blame them.
Yep. So, we are now joined by Connor. How you doing, Connor? Welcome.
Doing good.
Tell us about it. How do you feel? Break it down for us. If you need to cry, it's okay.
I don't think I'm gonna cry. Not yet. It didn't look good. Didn't look good. Honestly, thoughts. Not many thoughts behind it, man. It just wasn't good enough. I can't say that I was too locked into this game like I have been some of the other ones. Just didn't really feel like we ever did anything. Honestly, just kind of tuned out. But I've also been in a debate in the Discord about Josh the start, so I kind of have my mind on a different thing. But overall, not good enough defensively. I think I was not impressed realistically by anybody in the defense, but honestly, I don't know if you could. Defensively, I don't know if you could say that like either one of those guys are like ultimately like they're giving possible. Not an impossible.
Hey, Connor, your mic is going in and out, and we're catching every other word.
Let me let's see. Let me find my AirPods real quick. I'll put those in. Listen.
Yeah, we'll put you on mute real quick, and
Okay. Let me see if I can.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
like I'm almost like lost for words. Oh, you got it? You good?
Yeah, Connor's the lost for words.
All right.
You know,
go get him.
it's fair. It is fair.
Wow. Can you hear me better?
Yeah,
nice,
go
much
for it.
better.
Okay.
Here we go.
So basically, what I was just saying is like, I wasn't impressed by the defense, but also I just kind of feel like it was attacks that I don't really think anyone other than like Gregerson was going to be able to handle. Honestly, I don't think many of our defenders are able to deal with him unless if you give us like a 5 at the back. I think that was probably the better move, honestly, if we would have done that and then just man mark him, put one defender on him and then have another one roaming and just play 5 at the back. With that though, you're completely dismantling like how we play.
Yeah.
Is that I don't really.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like how we are playing is really exactly gangbusters anyway. So, yeah, at least getting their attack completely out of the game, I think that probably would have been step number one to kind of mitigate our issues, because yet another game where it doesn't look like we are have an identity of what we're trying to do. What do you feel like you're seeing from Pineda, and what the game plan maybe was tonight? If there was
game plan, I think it's pretty similar to what our game plan is every game. Is like let the play out of the defense, get the ball wide. If you find balls in behind, then do that, or find Almada's feet and just let him do. Like it's basically get it to certain players' feet and just let them do what they do. Like honestly, like our game plan is very possession based. We move it, and then whenever we find that opportunity, we go and we strike fast. That's really what the game plan is. But if they're just sitting off us and we're not getting an opportunity, then there's no game plan there. And honestly, I feel like a big issue that we have been seeing is one of the things that got us goals from whenever we couldn't strike fast beforehand was like Lennon putting in really good balls that would get onto an attacker, but he just isn't putting in the same balls that he was. And honestly, whenever they are good balls, it seems like the strikers are not even in the right areas. It seems like they're almost out of a line, which I think the whole entire team is. They're not together. They're like playing one time they'll go and then the ball isn't good, and then the next time they don't go and the ball is good. Basically, and it's just completely disjointed.
Off the same page, yeah, exactly. They're just completely, the chemistry is just not there.
I don't really know how to fix that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the assessment, because it's basically it is what is the problem, is that it's not very multifaceted, and it's not conducive for the best talents of the players on the pitch. Essentially, you're asking these players to create moments of magic rather than positional play wise, getting them into the best areas so that they can utilize their best assets. And you're just asking them to do too much. and there's a lot of hero ball. I mean, and at one point, I mean, it's like Shonda Silva decides to try to, tie the game from outside the box and just completely shoots it into Rosie.
Marietta
It's just
Street,
like,
as they said.
exactly, and it's just like, bruh, like, I appreciate that you're trying to make something happen, but you had all the players ahead of you. Like that's just it. I think it speaks to the lack of movement in front of him as well, and
Yes.
that's on the coaching. That's on, because it's not because, okay, there is a bit of where these players do not know what they need to do, but there is an aspect of it that they need to be coached up to be able to know where they need to be. And it's also way far too much ball watching. But anyway, yeah, I'll get into another bit about ball watching, but yeah, go on.
I feel like one thing that I almost like, I don't really know if anyone else agrees, but it's almost like I almost see, especially from like where my seats are in like past games, you can really see like Lennon and other players bombing down the right, and you see I almost feel like I see like disbelief in what the ideas of what was happening. I feel like now we've almost, our players in like disbelief of that, so they're not making the same run. I feel like they almost think that it's not working anymore. Almost.
Mm-hmm.
Not trusting your teammates.
Yeah, not trust, and also just not trusting. Like, I feel like a lot of players are almost overcompensating because they're not trusting like that we're gonna be able to get like beforehand. Like Lennon would like bomb forward, and he was getting forward a lot. I feel like he's still doing that, but he's more reserved now, and I think that has a little bit to do with the defenders that are behind him. But also, I think one of the things is, if we don't have our first defense, why are we not moving why are we not changing how we're playing to allow those players to get farther up the field and like with support? I personally, I feel like we're almost best suited to play like a 3-back right now, just because we would have 3 defenders there, let Caleb and Lennon get up the field, and then let them do what they do best and get wide and put balls into the box and connect with the play, because right now they're almost having to overcompensate and sit back farther, and it's hurting Lennon because he's running a lot. You can see he's getting tired. You can see that a lot now, both with Caleb and Lennon. I think you can see that, and it's weighing on how well they're performing on the field, like even earlier in the game. So I think if we just rotated more, and like if we were just smarter with how we're playing right now, I feel like we would be having more success. I don't know if anyone else agrees. But.
Yeah, it's also the Miles Robinson effect as well, because the safety valve is no longer there, and so yeah, Brooks Lennon cannot bomb forward as much, and so yeah, it's great points, man. That basically, all our defenders are having to sit back more, which puts more of our wingers on islands, and essentially, once they actually get involved into play, they're far too close to each other. They're not in these zones that you can actually, play the proper triangles. Instead, they're on top of each other. And when they're on top of each other, at that point, it's just redundancy. It's too easy to mark.
Yeah.
One defender is marking 2 players because they're occupying the same space.
Yeah, and then they kick it back, and then it recycles around the top of the the 18 area, and they just do it on the other side, and they keep trying the same thing. It's so frustrating. Like your point is 100% right in terms of the redundancy, because this is something I was pointing out while I was watching the game. It's so frustrating when you see them bomb down the side, and then like they'll do the overlapping run, they'll pass it over like Brooks from Saba or vice versa, and then they'll just go, okay, and now I'm marked, so I'll pass it backwards back to the guy who just passed it to me. Right. And then but then the guy who passed it, like let's say Saba passes it back to Lennon because he's marked, Saba will just kind of sit there and go, like, look back at in Lennon and go, okay, now what? As if he's expecting Lennon to then recycle it back all the way out again. Whereas instead of like doing something dynamic, and they do it on the left side too. They do it on the right side, and then they do it in the middle sometimes too. Like the interchange between Almada sometimes too. They'll just, every time, they'll try and do one or so pass, they'll make a little bit of progress, they'll create a little bit of space, and then they'll give it back, and then they'll just the guy who passed it just stops, and then they ball watch. The whole team is just sitting there ball watching when they're in the attacking third. It's so frustrating. Like, move, be dynamic, try and open up something. Make the defense go, maybe I need to be more aware. I need to be looking around more, less comfortable. But they're just sitting there, and it's like, if I don't see the defense moving, then that means you guys aren't moving, and that means the guy with the ball is not going to be able to do anything. So he just sits there and recycles it back almost every time. And then if he doesn't, one of the hero ball opportunities happens where they just kind of run into like 3 defenders and lose the ball, which happened like 10 times this game.
Yeah, it's essentially that's 100% on the coaching. I mean, it's there it is on players as well, but I mean, they are bereft of ideas because they don't know what else to do. They don't have the solutions in game to be able to solve problems. They haven't trained for it. They're not ready for this. They essentially they're showing up to the exam without studying, and that's essentially what's happening. But any more thoughts?
I kind of want to touch on like the idea of that a little bit, because I kind of have I think one of the things that we saw last game, not the game tonight, but it was I believe it was last game, whenever it was the ball that Amada put in that GG had a save on. I see that ball, and a lot of teams do it, but we don't do it enough. We did it whenever Gressel was here because he could do that ball very well. But I think one of the things that we don't see, that we're not doing that anymore, and I personally, I don't understand why we don't do it. I do understand why, because not every player can hit that kind of ball. Yeah. But whenever you have a Brooks Lennon who can hit, I don't think he can hit it every time like a Thiago Almada or like someone like that. I don't think he can do that every time. But I would much rather have a somewhat dangerous ball into the box than almost like, instead of like hero balling it, set it back, let a nice cross in, and then you can recycle it and then let them try and build that chance that they do want to do. Recycling is a part of our game plan because we're waiting for that one opportunity that we're supposed to go. So it's understandable that we do it a lot. The main issue is whenever we're not, like, they're not telling them what they're doing wrong whenever, like, I almost feel like we're doing the same thing over again, trying for a different result. That's the main issue with the recycling thing right now, is we're not seeing a difference in how we're, like, trying to get to the point to recycle. We're just doing the same thing and then having to recycle. So it's just a breakdown, I feel like, between coaching and players. So I think that's a big issue right now that we'll see what happens.
It's great points because, yeah, basically the recycling, unfortunately, it seems like we're recycling when we need to be pushing the ball. And then other times we try to force things to happen when we should probably be recycling. And it's just it's a lack of movement. It's a lack of players knowing where they need to be so that they can help each other, so that we can progress up the pitch, so we can play through these lines. And yeah, it's these players, it just comes down to it. It's just they're not being coached well enough to know what they need to do. And if they did, we'd be seeing better results with these players that clearly have some talent. It's just that, like, without our star players, these homegrowns, they should be taught a system, right? But what is our system? What are they being taught in the academy that we're doing on the first team? It's just like
build out the back very slowly. That's what they do.
Right. Yeah, and so it's like, these players clearly show some talent, but it's just the coached up to what? Coached to be able to
safely get the ball from one box to the other box, but then we have no plan after that.
Right. Instead, you have, clubs like New York Red Bulls, which, they have their flaws too, but at least there's a clear-cut system. There's, what they're trying to do. You have an FC Dallas that, just pushes out those type of talent that, you can plug them into many types of teams. And I don't know. I mean, it's like, what players are we putting out there that, we could put into other teams? Like, what is our system? It's it's not like, not everyone can be in the Ajax where you bring and breed total football players. Like we're not that type of thing, but we need to have some sort of identity. But Connor, final thoughts.
Final thought. Hopefully this is Pineda's last game. If it isn't, honestly, it's whatever at this point. I mean, I think once we get Gregerson back, honestly, I think results will turn again. Just because I feel like that's almost the two pieces is Gregerson allows the left-sided defender to progress the ball much better, and I think Abram can do it. Honestly, I think he can. I think Gregerson is going to be the key pin to this. The main issue, though, is if you can't mold your other center backs to do that same thing. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it's however the points go, it's how it goes. And if we start turning them around, then great. But honestly, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't, I could see it going either way. We could either continue this streak or we could go on like a 3-game winning streak. I don't really. It's just how the MLS is, honestly. But
true.
True. Extremely volatile for sure. But it's.
If I was a betting man, I probably wouldn't say the 3-game winning streak.
Yeah. If I were a betting man, I would not do that either.
Right. It's hardly knee-jerk reaction right now, I feel like, because it's been coming. It's it's not quite 3 years coming, but it is definitely. It's 2 years of kind of the same thing that, 2 years is too long. I mean, it's just what has changed. Like, new players came in, and we started off nearly the same, also, if not worse.
It's hard to also, like, better players have come in.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to argue that the team is almost in every single position. You almost can see and say that player is better than what we had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If they weren't here before and it's a new signing, almost in every single position, maybe other than like one of the center backs being Miles Robinson, maybe you can argue that. But even then, like, I feel like the position that Gregerson's come into, like, he's been maybe not the same, but I mean, I think he's been just as good for when he has played.
Yeah, we haven't really seen enough
times
to really say about that. Yeah.
Although also, I don't think Robinson I don't think fits our system as well as Gregerson does. Robinson, in my opinion, is more of a 3-back center back. Get him 1v1, and that's my opinion. Other people can argue with me, but I think there's a reason that you've seen him perform the best in a 3-back.
Yeah, I mean, because he's fit. Everyone calls him the release valve because if you just put him in a 2-man back line, he's the one who could just handle it. So you can afford to send more guys forward. So that's, I guess, what they've used him in the past for. So anyway, Connor, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you later, and hopefully there'll be brighter times in the future.
Hopefully. Maybe. So we'll see. All right, see you guys.
Yeah, see you then.
See ya. All right.
Let's read the chat a little bit more.
Yeah. Let me read the chat a little bit more. Oh, a lot more comments. Okay, guys, thank you for putting them in. Bryson, you're going to have to join the Discord if you want to be in the show. I will throw you can find the invite in this description of the video, but I will also find I'll grab you a link as well, throw it in the chat. So if you want to join the Discord, feel free. That is the only way, though, that you'll be able to get on the show. And you have to let me know ahead of time, which you can still tonight. We're probably going to go a little late considering this was a very kind of unfortunately special match. All right, a bunch of comments. Let's see. Jack Diggins says, how many games now have we choked a lead in a row? Must be an MLS record. Jack says, or Jack ATL guy says, honestly, I would rather have Rob Valentino as our coach again. At least we showed fight under him. Kinetic says, there was a concert going on at the State Farm Arena, so not many people showed up for the match. Sniper says, Pineda plays such a boring style of football that it isn't well suited for MLS, as most teams lack the quality. Lou Theos says, I am no longer inspired to watch this team. It just feels like the same lost team from past years. Bryson says, same team.
Let's pause there.
Yeah.
Let's pause there, because that's the statement. That is the temperature of the casual fan, whether he's a casual fan or not. But that's what it is. That's what I mean by keeping Gonzalo Pineda in his position is waging terrorism against Atlanta United, because casual fans are dropping like flies. It is absolutely detrimental to keep him in his position right now.
Yeah.
Because if fans don't see change, what's the water cooler talk on Monday? Right? It's going to be pretty much something like this. Like, oh yeah, you went to the Atlanta United match? Oh yeah, we're pretty bad this year, right? Yeah, I don't... And it's also...
And you know you're going to hear someone at the water cooler say this because they gave away a crap ton of free tickets tonight to a lot of people.
Oh yeah. And so it's going to be a lot of casual people. And then so the people who have season tickets, it's like, oh yeah, so you have season tickets, right? Yeah. Do you have fun going to those games? It's like... And then it's the existential thought comes in. It's like, do I have fun going to these games? And then you lose those people because they're like, oh, I'm not sure I'm having fun going to these games anymore. I'm not sure I'm going to re-up next year. Like, and then the spiral goes. So, if the club wants to do this, if they want to just continue doing this, then great,
At your own peril. Yeah. Okay, so Kamek says Mosquera needs some time on the bench. Absolutely terrible tonight. Bryson says both Mosquera and Silva were poor. Tiffany McGriff, thanks for coming in. She says possession means absolutely nothing if we can't get more shots on target. All right, we'll pause it there again to welcome our good friend Nile. Nile, how you doing, buddy?
Not great since we didn't get a win today.
Indeed.
Yep.
Now break it down for us. Exactly the anatomy of how terrible you feel.
It feels it feels very bad, honestly. The last, I'd say, month has been pretty abysmal, and as abysmal as it can get, honestly. I think today was very concerning for me because I think all three of DC's goals were very, sloppy goals that we gave away. All of them came from Benteke getting too much space in the box, and with his physicality and his experience in the Premier League, that he's gonna take all of those opportunities. So I thought that the performance today was very, very bad. I think that honestly at times the reactions were not good enough. For example, I think our mentality, I thought today was pretty questionable, especially after we went down a couple goals. And yeah, it doesn't get any easier than this. Listen, as much as I want Penny to succeed here, and I've been pretty supportive of him in the past, things are not looking good. And when things don't look good, then you have to ask questions.
Absolutely. And a lot to kind of break down there, but having seen Benteke at Liverpool before, and maybe some insight into how to actually maybe mark him out of a game, what would have been something to do?
I think first of all, you try and annoy him a bit more. I feel like he got way too much I think freedom to move around in the box, and for a striker like him, he's going to take those opportunities. I mean, there's a reason why he played in the Premier League, because he's that lethal of a finisher. And you're seeing it now. I think he's one of the top goal scorers in MLS right now with, 11 goals or something like that. So It kind of just shows his quality. But I think for me, there has to be more aggression on him. There has to be more of a body on him. I think there were times where, for example, I thought that Noah Cobb, as good as he has been recently, I think today he showed a lot of questions in terms of his age and experience, especially with um, Benteke in front of him. And honestly, like you can't really ask that much more from Noah considering like his age. He's 19 years old compared to Benteke, who's like a seasoned veteran. But I think for me, his experience, his inexperience, I think pretty much showed a lot against Benteke.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's pretty much it's nothing really on Noah Cobb. Like
No.
he will and should go to the video room and look to improve in certain areas. But as far as like anything that's like, oh man, he's a bad player and like that, like absolutely
Benteke
not.
did this to Premier League defenders. So
Exactly.
sorry, Noah.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, there's definitely things that he can learn, but it's not on Noah Cobb. It is absolutely on team selection, on pretty much how we set up tactically to deal with this. And absolutely, it's we needed kind of a bastard in there to
Right.
really annoy, like you're saying, Benteke, and get him off his game to make him feel uncomfortable. I don't know if we have a bastard at the back, to be fair. Maybe it might be Derek Williams when he comes back.
Could be.
He's got that experience, but obviously, it's just you had basically a men amongst boys.
yeah.
And it's basically like a daddy teaching his children, like, yeah, it's pretty much like it's a dad playing basketball against his toddlers. It's like, yeah, it's just simple. Like, I'm gonna dunk, and you're not gonna be able to stop me. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
and it's just sad, frankly. It ruined all of our nights. Like, Gonzalo Pineda ruined all of our nights.
Yeah. So I guess maybe more of the blame should be put upon people who are supposed to stop crosses from even being fired in. Because if you know Benteke is that dangerous, don't let him get any crosses. However, we let plenty of crosses come across us.
Yep.
So, I mean,
But yeah, no. What else did you see?
I thought our sort of movement in the final third was pretty sloppy. I think a lot of times we were pretty static on the ball. There wasn't enough movement. Muyamba, surprisingly for me, I think he had a pretty bad game today, and that says a lot because usually you expect him to be a bit more decent. I think Lennon also as well. He didn't have the best game either. Gigi didn't really get any touches except towards later in the second half. And you would expect him to have at least maybe scored a goal. He did get the penalty, obviously, but that doesn't really change much of how he played today. But I think for me, there's a lot of concerns in terms of how players are performing. I think Almada, this season in general, from what I've seen, he's not been the same player that he was last season, and it's interesting because can't really put a finger exactly on what it is, but he's just not been the same player. He keeps losing the ball quite a bit, so there's a lot of concerns, I think, in terms of player performance for me.
all of his free kicks have been off too. Like, a lot of his crosses have been off. Like, he's not switching the field as much as he used to.
Playing much deeper than he used to as well. I don't know if part of that's maybe because of him being frustrated that he's not getting the same amount of
in the box.
Yeah, he's not getting the same amount of like opportunities. But he's playing quite a bit deeper, which I think honestly hinders the team quite a bit. But yeah, just not good enough. You're having too many players for me who have not been at their peak performances, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I think, okay, the one positive that I will, definitely give Gonzalo Pineda credit for is Dax McCarty on for Mosquera. But having Mosquera on in the first place, that first half, holy shit! Like, every touch, nearly, we were just giving it away.
It was a disaster class, yeah.
Yeah, a disaster class in your first touch, final touch. And Dax McCarty coming on, he did start to give us a little bit more pausa on the ball a little bit, where he was dictating the play a little bit better. And yeah, he basically was spreading it out, connecting the lines that we needed. But still wasn't enough because, yeah, I mean, the move with Muyumba into a central position and, Almada to the left, part of it is, okay, Silva is not match fit. And that's a little bit of it where, okay, you have issues kind of with not only getting the wings right, but also, Almada, anytime he's switched to the left, it really hasn't been that effective. Mostly, it's he's fairly predictable when he's on the left. Like, he's going to cut in, he's going to take a shot from distance, and maybe he might be able to play some 1-2s and slip somebody in behind. But the service has just been really poor from the left. Like, I think that's where teams can actually focus in, because they know all the service is coming from the right.
Yeah.
The left, they can just, you can pump it in. Sure, great. Nothing's going to come from it. So, but as far as other thoughts, like were there things that say for the play devil's advocate, since you have been supportive of Gonzalo Pineda in the past. If anybody is Pineda in at this point, what are they seeing?
I don't know, because for me, it's hard to. Right now, it's honestly hard to see any benefits for him going into the future. Besides, I would say maybe like the devil's advocate you could play is he's developing some of the younger players like Cobb, for example. But apart from that, I can't really think of anything else, because I think it's important to understand that, like, in this sport, it's a results-driven business, and if you're not getting the wins, then ultimately that's, whether it's fair or not, you're honestly going to get the kick of the can. So I think for me, it's hard for me to see how this gets any better at this point, and that says a lot considering how optimistic I've been about this team in the past. But for me right now, I feel like anybody who would be thinking that, oh, this team's been playing fine is doing a disservice to themselves, if I'm going to be frank about it.
Yeah. I feel like the only thing you could, like, if there's any Pineda in people left, rare breed, I would say that trying to conjure the devil's advocate here, I would say something like, well, the players are just pretty much not able to execute what Pineda's saying. They're incapable of doing what he says. Like, his tactics are solid, his plan is solid, and it makes sense. He's a smart guy, but players just aren't following through with it. And maybe it's like in FIFA when you try to build an ultimate team and all of the players are really good, but all of their like chemistry things are all completely the opposite of what they need. So like a really, really high skilled stat player performs at like 50% of their potential because, like, I don't know, he's from France and another guy's from like Australia or something, and they're like completely off with chemistry. So maybe that's what I would say would be the counter argument. But besides that, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
And I think it's go ahead now.
No, I was gonna say, like, whether or not, like, because a lot goes into like how a team performs, right? Like, you have the manager who's trying to put the message across, and you have the players who ultimately are the ones that have to perform in the field. But ultimately, if the manager is not able to put a fingerprint on what the problems are with the team, and you see the same cycle of problems resurfacing, then it's obviously kind of hard for somebody to be sitting there and be like, you know what, I'm okay with the way things are.
It's either he can't solve it, it's like if he can't solve it, then that's bad on him. But
Right.
it's also it could be not solvable, and then you could see something like Pineda being like, I'm just frustrated with this and I want to get out, and that could also be potentially what's happening as well to some degree.
Maybe, but I feel like some of it is. I feel like a lot of it for me. I think the frustrating thing for me is that a lot of it is mistakes. For example, you should not be giving Benteke that much space in the box. For me, that's I think something that shouldn't be that hard for players to understand. And then also the amount of leads that you give up in a game as well. That like for the amount of times that that's been happening to us, I feel like that's inexcusable, honestly, because for me, that's basic soccer fundamentals. Like you can't honestly like just teach that stuff. Like you should know already about it.
Which, I mean, obviously the players know, but it's more that the belief isn't there, and it's also, and it's also though the players, and it's really on the whole squad, the team, the coaches, everybody on this bit. We keep conceding right after we score, and why is that? Well, we all have some theories probably, but I think it comes down to, basically, well, at home, it's this like excitement. So yeah, they're jacked, they're pumped, but we almost got scored on again after we scored the second goal. It took a wonder save by Guzan actually to keep him out for a fourth one. So, or the potential third, and then he actually got his third. But either way, it's at this point, like that's the mentality bit that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. That like right after you score, compose yourselves. Don't stretch yourselves so thin that you're going for another goal. Like, so essentially, like we're leaving ourselves wide open at the back right after we score. And it's just like it has to be leaders on the pitch. This is kind of a problem that I have with a goalkeeper as the captain, because he's too far away to normally get everybody to be in the right mentality. You need someone in the middle of the pitch, and you need someone that's vocal. You need someone that has the difficulty is we don't have anybody in the middle of the pitch right now that can be that vocal leader that people will be like, okay, I'll listen to.
Right.
Because Brooks Lennon, sure, maybe a candidate for a captain, but who's listening to Brooks Lennon?
I don't know.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think also another problem is, and I think this is something that one of the players, I think this was an interview I think that somebody had with Dax McCarty after the match, and McCarty was talking about how he believes that I think the team kind of just expects that they're just gonna somehow just automatically get a win at the Benz because it's the Benz, but they have to realize that all of the teams that come to the Benz, they want to beat Atlanta United. So there has to be an expectation from the team that the opposition is going to be at their best. So Atlanta themselves have to be at their best if they want to get a win. Like teams are not just teams that I feel like have started to become less afraid of Atlanta United. They now know what to expect from this team, and so that means that Atlanta themselves has to be aware of, hey, if we're not at our A game here, we're going to be punished. And I feel like sometimes that maybe is taken for granted a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great point. I think it's a lot of maybe the squad believing their own hype, and it's dangerous out here on these Instagram streets and X streets, because like
at least they're not calling themselves the Kings of the South anymore.
Yeah, it's true, but these golden spikes afterwards, we gotta stop.
Of excellence, golden spikes of excellence.
Exactly. Like right now, that just seems so silly. You're asking for it. Like okay, if we lose, do not do that. If we draw, if we win, I get it. Do it. But on a loss, no. Like,
Win
Yeah,
sprints.
it's just-
That's what you get.
Exactly.
Not a
Yeah,
spike.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like Saba probably like he's the only person that was like willing to actually like take it, you know, because yeah, he helped score the own goal, but it's like no one should be getting anything after a loss.
Yeah. Someone needs to check up on Giakoumakis too. I'm worried. I'm worried that the performance of this team is gonna break this man. That he's gonna have a press conference where he like grabs a reporter by like the scruff of their shirt. He's like, "What did you say to me?" or something, like just like starts losing it. I'm like worried, legitimately. Like, not that I feel like he's like gonna go off, but like when is he gonna have his like what? How much can you take before you have your chicken and rice moment? Your chicken and rice era.
Right. Yo, you know, if Doug Roberson asked one wrong question, you know. Man.
Yeah. All right, Nile. Let me let's look at a couple more comments, and then we'll get your final thoughts while we have you. Maybe this will jog some conversational topics real quick before we let you go. So Bryson says Almada had to come out. Why? Just to create anything from that side. Lorraine Lowe, good to see you in the chat. Thanks for stopping by. She says we have half a dozen decent players. Our squad is weak. Young guys like Cobb and Wiley should be gently nurtured, not being played week after week. Bryson says Saba didn't complete a dribble tonight, which isn't good enough. No, it's definitely not. I could have probably completed a dribble. Sniper says we are in desperate need of Nagby-style 6 to perform what Pineda wants. I mean, every team in MLS is in a desperate need for Nagby. Bryson says, agree, Tiffany Tristan had multiple times where he could have had long shots to create maybe a deflection or rebound, but tried to be too cute. Luthio says, I'm starting to think other coaches have a playbook on Pineda. This is definitely obviously true. I think we all know this. Like, Wilfred Nancy made this publicly known to the world. They know how to attack our weaknesses and contain us. Chris James says the game plan is always wide and cross into the box or try to run on the counter. Bryson also says, did Lennon complete a cross tonight? I don't know. I'd have to look. I do have the game stats up. I'll read them after this. Sniper says, I want Almada pressing forward and not coming back to get the ball. You should play like Acosta, who's providing and giving and going, and with his focus being on the 18-yard box. Not That Bright says, the patterns of play are so well known, and anything they try to improvise just shows a complete lack of chemistry. Yeah, that's kind of like what we were talking about. The tactics of FC Cincinnati are perfect for the league, and if we can replicate that, we should probably see improvement. Bryson also says, I feel like we can't progress the ball through if Almada doesn't drop in. Yeah, it seems to be the case. And I'll do one more comment. Kemek says, one big chance created in 96 minutes. There's something fundamentally wrong with this football club.
At home. And it's also this. So, you know, we had that big win, was it last month or more, 2 months ago? Who knows now? It's a distant memory. But
could have been yesterday. Who knows?
Yeah, we sat here, and I remember somebody was saying, it might have been Gavin, who was saying, like, shouldn't we be happy? But we noticed the patterns of issues.
We saw it coming. We saw the iceberg in the distance.
And yeah, it's basically, we're on the Titanic. Let's go with this metaphor. And yeah, like, we're on a sinking ship, and if we do not find that door, we will become Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, it's just, we're not Rose right now. Like, we are sinking into the ocean, and it is not going to get any better if we do not find our lighthouse, like somebody, like a rescue boat. I mean, and the rescue boat, I don't know if, the interim bit with Rob Valentino, okay, cool. Maybe as a kind of a spiritual type of, like, emotional leader.
These are points per game coach leader, by the way.
Right. But that's such a small sample size.
Right.
It's just, but we should welcome that right now, because absolutely, now is the time. Seasons are ending. We can find a better coach.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
We can find a better coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Nile, let's get your final thoughts.
I think AJ made a good point about the ship sinking, because that ship is definitely sinking right now, and the schedule gets only harder from here. I think our next 2 matches are away to Cincinnati, who, by the way, they just won at Columbus in the Hell is Real Derby, and then we play Nashville as well. And both teams, seeing the way we played tonight, are probably licking their chops about playing against us. So for me, I feel like it's only going to get worse from here, in my opinion, just considering how this team's been performing lately. And that may ultimately cost Pineda his job.
Yeah. If 7th place DC can do this to us in our house, that doesn't spell a good future.
Yeah, 9th place before they before this match, but now they're in 7th. But yeah, still, it's not great.
Not great. It's not great, Bob.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Well,
Nile.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you as
thanks.
always. Much love to you, man. Have a good rest of your night.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. We still got a bunch of comments as we're waiting for our next guest to join us. All right. Let's see. Tadia says, manager firing has brought us instability. Most wanted to see Pineda succeed, and the team is talented. Maybe dragging him and the team through fire will help them. I feel like we've been on fire for multiple years now. We need Williams and Gregerson back for sure. Grego, one of our guests that's coming on, just says a 3-back line would be smart to try, not against it. But too often coaches are stubborn that their tactics will work and won't adjust when they should. It's persevering to a fault. Persevering to a fault, sorry.
Persevering to a fault. Yeah. Well, on that, I've talked about this in the past maybe 2 videos, is that, okay, we can try wingbacks, but again, our depth at fullback is very thin. We cannot sustain it. We cannot do it for an entire season, unless the transfer window opens up soon, where we can bring in more players to be the understudy, to at least spell these players. Caleb Wiley, Brooks Lennon. Because yes, it is true. Like, part of the issue tonight was we let in too many crosses. Who's largely on the wings, and their responsibility is to stop those crosses? Yes, those 2 players. So, yeah, defensive deficiencies, a little bit difficult to say, is absolutely, yeah, it's an issue. And playing them at wingback can be a solution. The problem is, if one of them goes down, we have Ronald Hernandez.
Yep.
And that...
Yeah. All right. Well, we are now joined by Grego from For the Culture podcast. Grego, welcome. How you doing? I know you probably could be better, but give us how you're feeling. Talk us through it. What happened this game?
Oh man! First of all, it's been a minute. It's good to see you guys.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah. I think I've been pretty patient with Pineda and trying to see if things could turn around. And I think even I'm like, time's ticking, dog. Like, time is running out. But it's tough because, granted, we're still thin in some spots, but you have to figure out a way to win at home. And like Nile was saying before me, like, I think we've gotten to a place where we've gotten kind of comfortable with just expecting that, hey, we're at the bins, we'll win, we'll figure it out. And it's like, we're not. And I said something on Twitter right after the game. It's like, right now we're a team that lacks leadership, and more importantly, we just lack confidence, because I feel like just the moment we give up a goal, it's like everything just kind of just falls apart. And I feel like we give up goals far too quickly, especially right after we score goals. It seems like we let our guard down and we give up a goal right away. And I don't know, just whatever's happening behind the scenes is just not clicking the way even in my most optimistic, I'm like, it's just not working.
I mean, it's this, man. Yeah, Grego, like I'm with you there. Is that yeah? We've been patient. I am not a person that is very knee jerk and has been calling for Pineda out for very long. It's, but I think that the writing's on the wall. It's absolutely, there is no reason to see that anything is going to change, is going to be anything different in my eyes. But do you feel like, because you mentioned, time is running out, which means you're thinking there still might be some time. But
the way I see it, I see it as, I think when we start losing guys for Copa America and for the Olympics, I mean, we're already showing that we already show that we can't win when we are shorthanded even by the littlest bit. Like the 3 wins that we have this season are the 3 games where we really had everybody available. So if nothing else, we show that, hey, when we're healthy, we're good. But the problem is that you can't expect for every game to be perfect like that, because obviously injuries happen, throughout the whole season. People get pulled in for national team duty, people get hurt, things like that. Like, you have to figure out a way to adjust to what you have, and this is just the dynamic of what things are in soccer, and especially the way things are in MLS. And if you can't figure out a way to get results, I mean, like, at least last month we were getting draws. It's just now we're not getting dick. So it's like, come on now. Like, we have to figure out, like, you have to get the best out of what you have when you have it. So it's like, if you are stuck with having Noah Cobb as your starting center back and he's got to go against Christian Benteke, you got to figure out, like, hey, how do I maximize, his relative inexperience? Say, hey, how can we still make this work? If you can't do that, then you're going to have a problem, because, again, it's not going to get easier the rest of the way.
And maybe don't play the exact same way you've played against every other team. I mean,
right.
I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
Grego, I agree with everything you just said, except that, no, we are getting dick. We are getting dicked. And it is, yep. And essentially, though, like, with, where to even begin? Oh, man, so many points. It's a problem, and how do you fix these problems, right? Like, that's really at the crux of it, and it's not really at our pay grade, obviously, to figure that out. But I think something that you pointed out, that okay, the players that are not the first team players in those 3 games that we won, okay, yes, with those players we should win those games. Without those players, okay, sure. But it's also on the technical director who brought in these players.
Yeah.
That if they're not good enough for us to win, because it's largely plug and play at this point. With it's not like he's playing a player out of position to to some effect where it's like, oh yeah, he's trying something crazy, and it's like, oh okay, it's not working or something like that. Yeah, he's basically, okay, player for player. And large part, I think it's like, okay, we have 3 strikers that are exactly the same type of striker. Target forwards, not much else. It screams to me that, okay, if Gonzalo Pineda didn't have a say in this, which I think he did, in the type of striker that he wanted, because Jose Martinez ousted out the door. Ronaldo Cisneros was that type of player that is this type of target forward. it seemed to me that, or it seems to me anyway, that Gonzalo Pineda wants a target forward. Yorgos Yakumakis is that type of model of what he wants. And this is what we're seeing. This is Pineda ball. Mm-hmm. This is Bocanegra ball. Because these are the players that Bocanegra has okayed to bring in.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not just on Pineda.
Yeah.
Also on Bocanegra.
Absolutely. I think that at the end of the day, and this goes back to obviously everything that kind of came out in that Athletic article a couple years ago, as far as just the overall moves that Bocanegra makes that kind of goes over the coach's head, and it's like the coach really doesn't have any say as far as what's happening. So I really would say that possibly by this point, Pineda has at least a little bit to say it, but I would still say it's not a whole lot.
Every time he's asked in press conferences about like signings or whatever like that, he's always like, "I have no idea. That's Bocanegra. No, I have no idea."
And I think that while, of course, since the last time, I think it's the first time I've been on this season. So, of course, like you go back to last season, and of course, everything that we talked about last year, as far as like we had to get the guys that the Lagerway wanted to use, that kind of like built it in the same mold that worked in Seattle. And I do think that we have definitely upgraded in a lot of places, but at the same time, we're still not a fully fledged, well-oiled machine. But at the same time, I think that, again, like I said, we've at least shown that, hey, when we have everybody, we look pretty good. But the problem is that, again, when you have these injuries, you have to replace those guys. And I think that even for the relative inexperience a lot of those guys have, it then becomes your job, I think, as a coach, in Pineda's case, to where, okay, you had that first month or two of the season, so you go like, hey, this is what you did wrong. This is how we want you to get better. This is how you want to get better as far as how you apply yourself within the text and everything. If you're not doing that and you just keep on saying like, hey, just keep on doing what you're doing, just you'll get there. It's like you're belaboring the issue as far as how exactly do we get better. Mm-hmm. And now we're like what, 3-4 months into the season, and it's like, okay, now we're still waiting for everything to kind of get better, because again, these guys are getting experience now. If nothing else, they're getting experience. So it's like, how do you apply and fix those mistakes so that way the same issues that you were doing in game 2 or 3, you're not making in week 15, 16. Like, you got to figure out a way to improve, so that way, again, the same things that kind of got you earlier in the season, you're not still making them. And it's something where could we have signed more guys? Sure, absolutely. But at the same time, like, if this is what you have, you got to figure out a way to get guys to maximize their opportunities when they're there, because again, like, you don't know when these injuries are going to happen. They can happen at any time. So you have to figure out, like, when your number is called, you're ready and you're able to perform. Otherwise, you get more of this stuff, and everybody's just wondering like, well, when are things going to get better? Like, because we can't wait for everyone to get healthy again. Because again, we're about to go into the summer, and like I said, you'll at least have Wiley gone for the Olympics. Probably you'll have more than likely have Amato probably be at the Olympics as well. So, and then we might nobody's gonna get. Everybody should be. I don't think anybody's gonna be gone for Copa, but still, like, you'll have guys that are missing, and we're already showing that. Again, it could be just one guy. One guy's missing, we're screwed, and that's where we have to figure out. You have to figure out a way to not just push, not just for draws, because I feel like we've shown that we can do draws all day long. We got to figure out how to win. If you don't know how to do at least that, especially in MLS where 82 teams make the playoffs, it's like, come on now. Like, you have to figure out a way to get some momentum going, so that way you can try to make it through at least the summer, because like I was asking in the Discord, we could have something with the U.S. Open Cup, but the final isn't until September in most cases. So it's like, can Fernanda last that long? I would say the way things are going right now, I highly doubt it. So you got to figure out something soon to where you at least get some type of positive momentum in place so that you could last, at least make something out of this season, because otherwise I really have a hard time seeing how he lasts to Copa.
Yeah, and I think on the question of him lasting at any point, it's basically, though, will the fans have the patience for this? Because it absolutely is a factor. And that factor is it's showing up at the games where people aren't showing up. And it is absolutely like, it doesn't take one game to be like, oh yeah, everything's great again. And no. Like, it's way more than that. It's way more deep rooted than that. Because we've been mediocre or worse way longer than we have been actually good.
At this point, yeah. It's like I said, we've been in this bit of funk pretty much going back to 2020. And I think that I keep going back to something that Taylor Twellman said back when we first got started, as far as just being shocked at how big we were able to do things here, and of course the expectations of what Atlanta is as a general sports market. And I keep telling people, I'm like, it's not like things are so far ahead that we can't go back to proving Taylor right and saying that, hey, it's not a good soccer town. I mean, granted, we've done so much, but at the same time, you string along a couple seasons like this, and either you're not making the playoffs or you're going one and done, and you can get to the point where people get so disillusioned with the direction of the team where they just tune it out, and they just say, hey, if let me know when y'all get good again, and maybe we'll come through. But otherwise, yes, it's a tough situation because you're still essentially trying to fight for any bit of relevancy, any bit of exposure, and it doesn't take much, because I would say that in a lot of cases, the Atlanta fan base, his spoiled. They have proven Frank de Boer right, and it doesn't take much. And I would say that what we saw tonight, not just on the pitch but also in the stands, it kind of reminds me of those first few months with de Boer, where it was like everybody was getting all frustrated with how we were playing, and even when we were winning, it was like, yeah, this doesn't feel as fun as it used to. And of course now it's like we're not even doing that. We're not even winning. We're just losing and blowing games, and that's something that, again, we're not so far gone that we can't fumble the bag. Basically.
It's like, man, I can't even get like soccer fans to like watch and tune in to watch Atlanta United. Like my friends who watch EPL every week or something like that. And then or something like, and then I asked them, like, hey, watch Atlanta United, go to Atlanta United game. They're like, why would I do that? Like in 2018, they were like, oh, there's something special going on. That's interesting. Let's watch. But like, ever since then, it's like even people who like the sport are unwilling to like watch the thing. Like it's that when you're struggling there, it's like the casual fan. Then I mean, come on.
Yeah. Right. And sorry to cut you off, man, but I wanted to make this point because it's so your quote about Frank de Boer, which he famously said that the fans were spoiled, but this is the thing: the club is now spoiled by the fans. Yeah, it is 100% that, because we are propping up this club essentially in this aspect of we're inflating their numbers. We're essentially making them. We're 17th in the world right now. Yeah. That, in terms of like by Sportico as the most valuable club in the world, 17th. Apropos number. But that aside, I feel kind of embarrassed because the last 5 years have been mediocre or worse, and the fact that we're in there is by sheer numbers of how many people are attending games. We are creating the atmosphere for casuals to want to come to games, and if you're not beating those fervent fans, well then if they start to go away, that's the problem that I'm worried about.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that we have Grego here, let's run through some of these comments on here, and then we'll get you guys to react to them a little bit. I won't ask Grego to react to his own comment that I have here, but we'll ask Bryson here exactly. As soon as the ball gets to one of our defensive mids, it's just a recycled ball. They don't have any creativity to break the lines. Sniper 19 says, Almada gets stuck running with it for 40 yards and everyone watches. Tiffany McGriff says, those first steps to get a ball instead of waiting for it to come to you, it happens so much, especially when we play recycle possession and the other team steps and steals it. I want to know where all the loudmouth talking trash about our other ATL team fans are. They aren't in the stadiums nowadays. So Tiffany also says, what so willful disregard of the situational responsibility for the club. Mavery and his cuisine says, hey guys, I've been watching you guys since 2018 championship run, so I really feel that I should chime in at such a crucial point in this club's history. First, let me tell you that I'm speaking as an apologist of Frank de Boer. Let me get to a few points, and I have to come to a conclusion as to the end of this match. Number one, as a Chelsea fan watching the squad perform equivalent to my Premier League team, we should hold off on firing Pineda until we know that we have gotten into at least the semifinals of the Open Cup. The reason I say this, you should at least know that your team has no chance of winning a cup until you consider terminating the coach. For MLS, we should wait until at least one cup is off the table. I'll let you guys respond to that one.
I mean, yeah, it does unsettle the team. It will do that. But it's not like it was the first team that played in the first round anyway. We're only one round in. Like, let's just be real. Like, it's not like it's something that like he's been round after round getting us through it. Like, he played the kids and we won. Like, it's he had no other choice but to play the kids. So yeah, I hear you, but it's not something to keep him in the job for. You know, it's at this point, like I said, it's waging terrorism.
It's one thing when you have a guy that's like only been in charge for like a year or so, like kind of like to use the Chelsea example, it's only been one season for him, and they're already talking about, you know, getting rid of him and everything. We're now talking about a coach that's going into his third full season, fourth year overall, and I think that by now, like I said, even with the issues with the roster, which I've gone about ad nauseum over the past few years, I feel as though this was the year that you were going to know whether or not Pineda can be the guy or not. And I think that as things have shown right now, like I said, I'm not sure that if he lasts through the midway point. I have a hard time seeing it because like things are going to have to change pretty quickly. I think that if we don't get above 6, it's going to be tough. Yeah, and I think that
in the next month, or what's your time frame?
Like I said, like by like Copa starts what, June, like mid-June.
Yeah.
I would say by then.
Yeah.
Like I would say I think the change is going to happen definitely before Leagues Cup, which we might have to take seriously, even though I don't think we should, but we might have to now.
Yeah. The issue is, can we afford to do that? Not in the standings, not in the league or any competition. For the fans, that's what I'm worried about. Because listen, like, yeah, you can sneak into the playoffs all you want, whatever, but fans still know. Like, you can feed them bullshit all you want, but it's still bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, Like it's not going to be shrouded, like, and fans are going to be, oh yeah, you know, like the casual fans are not dumbasses. Like,
that's something I think that so many teams take for granted. 'Cause I think that people still think that fans are still like in the 1999 mentality. It's like, no, we have so much access to so much more soccer now. That it's like we can tell when things are, you know, are basically full of shit. And I think that, like to your point earlier, I think that this team has gotten complacent and taken the fan base for granted. Because like you said, even if we suck, even if not everybody shows up to a game, we're still probably filling in at least a good 32,000 up in the stadium, which is probably going to put us like at least top 3 in the league. So if you're able to coast off of that and not think that you have to do much more to truly improve the team, you're going to get what you get. And I feel like again, it's not so far gone that this can't, you know, revert back to something that resembles a failing MLS team. And that's something that if you care about your job and you care about growing the team and the sport here in the city, you're going to have to do a lot more than what you're doing. And I'm wondering what Lagerwey is thinking as far as both Pineda as well as Boca, because I feel like if there was finally ever a point to just say, hey, I'm going to get a new crew up in here and do things in a way that should bring results, this might be the time.
Garth has said he has optimized the roster to what, like 75% so far.
Yeah.
So he claims he has 25% left. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Like I said, and that's about where I think where we are. Cause I don't think we're fully where we want to be as far as the roster goes, but as far as just getting actual results, I think that again, if this isn't the direction that's going to provide the necessary results, you have an opportunity to say, hey, Pineda's gone, Boca's gone. Let's get some fresh blood up in here and see what we can do with that.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like something to be a breath of fresh air. Listen, I love talking to you guys. However, we have so many comments tonight, so we're gonna go a little late, and we're gonna get to these. These are the lifeblood of the channel. So let's hear from the fans here. Tadia says, these aren't kids. They played soccer before coming here, and we've seen them play well here. Pineda may be stifling their creativity and not holding them accountable. Sniper says, it is regression across the board. Justin Flournoy says, FO, players, coach, Garth better take control this week and hope that we can fix it this season. Carlos Bocanegra still has a job, is what Bryson said. He should be fired before Pineda, someone says. Micaiah Holmes says, I think a DP winger is needed. For me, Zonde can be great rotational starter. Elite teams don't have two wingers that can play at an MLS level, especially with how much we concentrate on the wings. Ben B says, how much longer are we as fans expected to be okay with this? Let's not even talk about this year. Let's talk about last year. First round loss in US Open Cup, group stage exit in Leagues Cup. The fact that he is still around is a problem. Justin Florney also says, I would like to see Pineda go to 5 center back in the back to defend against goals. Jack Dickens says, I have to be honest, even when we went 1 up, I didn't celebrate like normally I would, because I knew we would fuck it up and realize Pineda is our manager. Travis Long says, thanks for coming in, Travis. Long-term fans dropping season tickets at the end of this season. 5 years of mediocrity is enough. I don't want to say 5. 2019 was pretty good. Nader Uden says, Pineda and Boganera.
That's 6.
That's 6.
Because 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
They all bleed together at some point.
Yeah. Pineda and Bocanera must go. The fans in this city deserve much better. Let's start with step 1, which is Pineda. The roster is one of the best we have had in past years. That shows to why we should keep Boca. Garth and Boca have been good partnership. Interesting. And Tadia agrees with that comment.
We should definitely pause it.
Okay.
That's I would love to keep going, but it's yeah.
We have a lot more to get to, so try and keep it concise.
Yeah. Boca Negra, yeah. That one window does not absolve the what is it? I don't know. The 9 different windows that he has basically screwed up his team. This is why we're in the position that we're at. Like he has one good window that is obviously helped by Garth Lagerwey, and so because the profile of players, everything just felt completely different. And okay, yeah, you have another window. Okay, maybe we can start to see if there is some sort of amalgamation of ideas or whatever. But largely I don't see that yet, and that's I think where we're at, it's also because of Boca Negra.
Oh, absolutely. Without question, I think that last year was the period for Lagerwey to review what we had and see if anything that was there worth keeping. And even like going back to last year when we got Muyamba and Saba and Jean de Silva, and also Tiari as well. Like you could already see things were moving in the right direction, like the second half of the season. But again, like you can't help it when you have injuries, but you have to figure out how to still get results anyway. And I think that's what's working against Pineda right now is that you're not showing that you can win when everything is shorthanded. So if that's the case, then again, like there's no leverage on his end where he can, manage to keep things going. It's just you got to get wins sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Justin also says the roster as it is good, but when you have injuries and players trying to get back to shape, it's almost like we were back in 2020 when we lost Joseph to injury. He also says yeah, it's not. I don't think so either. That was like historically crazy. No one can create and score, and that to me is a bad team. Yes, that is. I agree. That is terrible if you cannot score. Sniper says not sure how Cobb can do much against Benteke. Too much experience and the genetic superiority, referring to his height. Adam Fennel says Pineda out now. He has done nothing good for this club besides Gigi and Saba and Thiago and Zande and Caleb. We need to change. He's done nothing good except for all these examples. We need to change something now. I am tired of watching games on Saturdays. I mean, it might. Yes, it made me think like, well, they're going to probably remain on Saturdays mostly. But no, I know what you're saying. And Sniper says Sleece is the best thing we have had this season. Signing of the winter for sure. Yeah, Sleece is very good. He's class. Justin also says, with the shape that we play, how could they stop crosses? They are attack shaped. That's true. Sniper says, I would say for the All-Star game, I will only vote Slist in because no one else is deserving of the honor this season. Okay. Jack Dickens says, Moyomba isn't physical enough for MLS. He also says Sabo was as poor as Edwin tonight.
The All-Star comment, super telling. If your own fans can't even vote for you for the All-Star game, I mean, what else do you need to know?
Yeah,
like that.
I think with the All-Star thing, I think that it kind of leads to another issue that I'm honestly having with. I kind of wonder if Almada's kind of already has Europe on the brain, and just
it's a theory.
Yeah, his head's turned 100%. But whether he's down tooling or not, I don't know if he's down tooling. I think he's just in the system. He can't find, the final product.
That's another thing. 'Cause it kind of reminds me of Joseph under the board those first few months, where it was like he kept on having to go back further and further to try to get the ball.
Yeah,
I do feel like until we figure out what's going on with the wings, I feel like all defenses have to do is just close in on Gigi and Almada, and we're pretty much stuck.
You're left with the desperate wingers. Yeah, just pumping in crosses. And AJ, do you blame the system for Almada missing all of his free kicks too?
No.
So he's not down tooling.
Yeah, I think it's more that he's not confident right now. He's not a player that is playing with that sharpness, playing with a sense of like that swagger that he had, and yeah, belief goes down. Yeah, I mean, it's I think that extra percentage that you get from knowing that, oh yeah, I got this. I'm putting this top bins easy, like it's a penalty. Like it's not the same. It's not the same right now, and
No.
it's not on system. I mean, it's partially on the system for the confidence of the player, but
I mean,
rather than
he's
that,
tied for worst free kicks this season in the league
Yeah.
because he's scored 0. He's tied with me, technically. Brian Baird says, it's not about tactics anymore. The coach has lost the locker room in terms of emotion. You guys think he has lost the locker room?
I don't know if he's lost the locker room yet, but seeing that there are players that say like Sean De Silva, who's bless him, he was waving to the crowd. He was trying to get us hyped after the kind of botched header by Gigi in the box. It was a pretty good combination play to kind of get him there, but the fans didn't really respond. We
I don't know if I
Go
would
ahead.
say he's lost him, but I just feel like, and it was kind of intimated in the post game. Like, I feel like for what's needed, I'm not sure he has the experience to pull it out of everybody yet, and that's the unfortunate thing, because like I said, I do think that the Pineda has its moments, and I feel like at some point he probably will be a pretty good coach. I just feel like for what's needed, he ain't got the experience for it, and I feel like he was kind of dealt a halfway bad hand because of all the roster moves that were made by Boca, the past 5 years. But again, like for what's needed, it just might not be in his wheelhouse just yet.
Yeah.
And
So let's keep going. Let's keep going. So Sniper says Mascara felt like a double agent in the first half, like he didn't want to play on the team anymore. Justin said, we need a coach who can get the most out of the bench players, full stop. Jack says, Brian doesn't matter, or Brian, it doesn't matter. He's not playing good enough. Almada needs to get that mid playmaker to step up to give and go like Acosta does at Cincinnati. Jack Dickens says, having a goal contribution doesn't mean he played well. Tadia says, Pineda in because we need to stop firing coaches in the middle of the season. If not change by the end of the season, then he's out, if there's no change. Sniper says, we are handicapped by the fact that we can't get talent with 2 U22 players on loan. So we are currently stuck. That is a point, yeah. And Ben B says, how can you be Pineda in if he was supposed to be gone last season? U.S. Open Cup and Leagues Cup failures didn't reach the FO's goal of top 4. He should have been out. Jack Diggins says, another big problem the last 4 years we've made crappy signings that have handicapped us. That's what the Boca comment. Tadia said, fine, fire him at the end of the season. I've been with this team since the beginning. I think it's,
we've all been here since the beginning. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Like, waiting until the end of the season is exacerbating problems.
And like to say this is not a coaching carousel that we have here at Atlanta United. This guy's been here for a while, and in terms of MLS coaches, it's a long time. So I think it's nothing ridiculous to say he's had his time. Kevin B says, first time losing 3 straight at home. Atlanta keeps making history. Strong Vex says, even having a caretaker manager now would be a morale boost. Yeah, perhaps. Justin says, getting a proven veteran player for captain is key. That can star for the team. Tiffany says, it is so frustrating to see those counter goals immediately after we score, but we're not conceding. But at least we're not conceding within the first minute anymore, so there's that. So we'll take a break there if you guys have anything to chew on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole Pineda in thing. I get the whole volatility that it will bring. Chelsea fans are scarred. I get it. Man U fans are probably scarred too. I get you. But the issue is they have made the moves that actually have won them some trophies in that meantime. So, we're a club that expects trophies. We should be holding the club to those standards.
Right, yeah.
And the issue is Gonzalo Pineda has been in the at the helm too long, failing, and it's dragging us into a real spot of worry where the club is spiraling. Like they can espouse all these optics all they want, but the optics that they're not pointing out are they're losing fans on social media. Full stop. All right? And the social media is very telling. It's very, very telling of the temperature of the fans. There's a lot of people that have pieced out. We're the first team to 1 million on Twitter, X, whatever, right? That was in 2018.
Yeah.
We're at 993K right now. Like,
wow.
Like, what's happened?
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of things, on Twitter, X, have also happened, but people have left Twitter. But
yeah, let's get Grego's take on this, and then we can move on.
Two things real quick. One thing I just wanted to say real quick, just to kind of rewind. Noah Cobb, he's gonna laugh one day about just how he played against Benteke today, because he got dealt with by a grown ass man.
Yeah,
I just want to say that real quick. Second of all, it's hard. It's like I just said. Like it's a rough deal that Pineda had to deal with the roster moves that Boca made that put us in the hole that we're in. That said, that doesn't mean he has an infinite leash as far as waiting for us to get our roster good again for him to start winning. Like, you still have to show that you are worthy of continuing for us to keep investing in you as the head coach. So if we're not showing the necessary progress needed, given what we have, we like that's how you end up out of a job. And if you don't know how to get the best out of what's there, that it's on you. It's like I hate to be that cutthroat about it, but it's just the way that things are. Like, you have to it's still a results driven business, and unless you can show that you might have something in US Open Cup, unless you show that if you're still around by then, if you can show that you can do something in the Leagues Cup, I don't see how you're going to be able to make it all the way to the end of the season to be let go then, if you're not showing something now.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Like, you still have to show something in the immediate in order to just get to the end of the season. And right now we're just not doing that.
It's great points, man, because it's essentially this. Like, okay, we can be forgiving if we see promise, if we see something that allows us to be like, oh, you know what? Okay, I can understand. Like, we're way past excuses now. There's nothing that I am seeing that is inspiring me. There's nothing that I'm seeing that's like, you know what? He's onto something. It's just, it's not quite working yet. He's unlucky.
Yeah.
We didn't beat Chicago. Unlucky. We lost to DC at home. Like, these are things that should not be happening. That does not inspire confidence. Now, since we've done these things, any result in the future is like potentially catastrophic to me. Like, it's like, because like when we made our original predictions for the season, we were like, oh, this game's going to be a win, this is going to be a tie, or whatever, loss. Nowadays, it's like, throw it all out. Any of these could be losses. And mind you, with that Chicago,
remember we beat them 3-0 at the beginning of the season. That was one of our 3 wins.
Yeah.
And we went from that to a month later we couldn't even get a goal off of them. So that's the type of things where like things can devolve very quickly to where, again, like we don't even the confidence that we probably had back then, we don't have it now. And you have to figure out a way to get that confidence back to where, again, like you're pushing through and getting those results at home, and you know at best you're getting a draw on the road, and we had and something that blew my mind. Listened to the game last week, like Pineda's road record is
it's the
It's
worst.
the worst. It is, yeah. It's an abomination.
Yeah, like
there is,
that in itself is
Exactly.
something that could easily cost him his job, because like we can't just always rely on the bins to save the day. You got to figure out to get results at all games at this point, because if
my
if
guy,
you can't do,
basically anybody else in the league essentially can do a better job than him on the road. So literally,
Yeah, just like random chance we'll do better on the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if we bring in somebody else, literally anybody else, we will see results improve. Like that.
we have to
That-
figure out.
that-
We have to figure.
Well,
out
here's
that
the thing.
road trip.
Here's the
That's
thing.
just awful.
It
That's
can't get worse. That's the hardest part about it. Is it literally can't get worse in terms of our away record. So
Well, it literally can't get worse at home either. We're losing at home and we're losing on the road.
yeah.
So, like, what is worse?
Yeah,
What
if
is
we
rock
change,
bottom?
then either we stay the same or we do better. I mean, those are the options.
It's
At this
basically
point, the only way it gets worse is if, like I said, the fans just completely say fuck it and just stop coming, and we end up like average like 20,000, like some dumb
that.
Yeah.
crazy
But that's
like
the thing.
that.
They're never going to announce it
Oh yeah,
because
they
the
just say like, hey,
attendance
the
is
tickets
still
are already paid
43.
for. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. All right, so
that's
we
the bullshit.
we talked about this one for a while. Let's move on. We still got some stuff to get to. Tadia says Gigi needs to grab some of those guys in the locker room. And Tara Moody says AJ and the drinking game. When we lose, you must the total amount of points. I guess drink the total amount of points. Maybe shots the total amount of points that we lose. That would be rough on AJ. And also, I feel like I want to have some fun, so why can't I participate? Strong says, yes, Wiley has been playing nonstop since Gutman left last summer. Tiffany says, hit the iceberg head on the... Yeah, okay. Omar says, fire Pineda now and try Valentino for the rest of the season and then find the right replacement. Sniper says, let's take a play out of the Falcons playbook and sign a superstar just to immediately pick up their replacement. And he does that with a kind of a smiley face. And then Omar says, we are the easy 3 points. And it's starting to seem like that. That's really sad to hear. Please no, not wooden spoon territory. We don't want to talk about that. Sniper says, Atlanta football in general is spilling support. Yeah. Omar says, Miami also this month. Yes, that's true. Strong says, blah, 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 blah. He's just naming players that we could potentially pick up. Sniper says, yeah, we know. Yes, all of these players. Yes, a lot of them. So many bad passes from the whole team. What's that about? Why are we missing so many passes?
Bereft of confidence. And because it's also this, they don't know where the players are supposed to be. Like if you don't know where your players are supposed to be, it's gonna be an errant pass because it's hopeful.
Well, it's also like a lot of underhitting and overhitting too, as if like they just didn't calibrate their pass with the amount of power needed. And I don't know. That's just a personal. You just got to dial that in, and we just haven't seemed to be dialed in for a while now. The ATL guy says an experienced coach who is respected is needed. I was saying that I was willing to take a chance on Pineda with his MLS experience because a lot of people were saying some of the managers we had in the past were not MLS experienced, like Frank de Boer. We should probably try that. And well, we see kind of how that went.
I get the logic there.
Yeah.
And I do feel like because you can go to Tata, De Boer, even Heinz. They had at least a cachet, if not a whole resume, as far as that made you want to respect him. Whereas,
Yeah. And players wanted to come to play for them.
right. Whereas Pineda is like, you're trying to sell basically the Seattle idea, but at the same time, people don't know him. So it's like until you know him and what he can do, you don't really have that same selling power, and that really does go a long way.
Right. On that point, it's like on the question if he's lost the locker room, there is the possibility that he's maybe never had it. He's maybe never had it in the sense that they're there. They're like, okay, well, he's been here in the league. Okay, we'll give him, we'll listen to what he says. But once we're in a spiral here, you think the players are actually listening to him and saying, like, you haven't been here before.
Yeah.
How are you going to get us out of this? Like, how would you even know? But also, Grego, that thumbs up thing that just happened. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
But I think I know what you're talking about because I've seen it on Zoom.
That just wigged me out. I'm like, what is that supposed to read?
So Tadia says defensive frailty is one thing. I expect that with CB's out. The feckless attack is inexcusable. Good use of the word feckless. I appreciate that. Yeah. We are almost caught up here. Brian Diefenbach says, like Charmin, we are soft. Sniper says, don't want to keep ranting in the chat, but also want to see how the hell is real derby went down. Need to see how my adoptive home team upset the champs in their house. Good night, everybody. Good night, Sniper. Thanks for joining us.
Is it really get upset if you're the defending supporter shield champs? I mean, like I said, they did meet in the conference final, so it's like they're both good.
I mean, yeah, they're both a pretty definition of rivalry, in my opinion, because both winners, both champions in the same frickin' state. I mean, that writes itself.
That's spoiled. That's spoiled.
Yeah. I have no... What is going on with the state of Ohio? I don't understand. Anyway, Tiffany says the inability to adapt to how the other team play is inexcusable. Bottom line, something or someone has to change. Omar says Pineda might not make it till the end of the month. I mean, some people are saying he might not make it to Tuesday. ADL guy says we don't know how to dig down deep and grind out a result. The 2018 team that won it all could. Tadia says, I want to know where all the loudmouth talking trash about other ATL fans... Oh, I already read that one earlier. Oh, yeah. Mavery was having some...
That 2018 and 2019, like, they still had the depth to where... Again, like, if you got guys that go down, you still have quality on the bench. I think that there's so much unproven quality on our team that, again, if you don't necessarily know how to step up when your moment is called, then... You're hoping on hope that you might get lucky, and I think that we had to rely on luck back then. Like we were able to pull through. Now we're like, hey, we hope that we can get a result, and again that goes back to confidence, and it goes back to just knowing where you're supposed to be in that moment, so you can perform. And right now we don't have that.
Okay, so another.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Another comment. And Tara says, so do Atlanta United fans have more pull than the Falcons fans? Arthur Blank waited till the year was over, but I wanted Arthur Smith fired after the Arizona Cardinal game, but I do like Pineda more than Smith. So let's see. Thomas Bigelow says also Pineda is out of his depth. He has no answers. And Tiffany says, I miss our spoiled days. Yeah, there's no need to apologize for FTB. He won 2 trophies.
Everybody would go back to those days right now.
Yeah, 100%.
We're just saying a lot.
Tiffany says, I miss the free burritos. That is true. Gavin says, fire Pineda. His ass should have nowhere to sleep tonight in Atlanta. Oh, that's a little harsh, honestly.
It's like I don't wish ill on Gonzalo Pineda. Like I wish him and his family the very best. He doesn't deserve any sort of vitriol towards him personally. He, as the head coach of Atlanta United, like it's frankly this. It's sad that someone's job is on the line here, but he's also affecting a lot of people's
futures, jobs, yeah, all that.
Future jobs, his players, his charges, his everybody that is involved with him. But it's also though, like this is an entertainment business, and essentially, he has not been providing the entertainment in any sort of realm of entertainment. Say it's a movie, all right. If it's a studio and they saw that the director, which is pretty much what he would be, okay, his movie didn't make money. Well, then he's not going to get another shot. Maybe another studio might give him another shot, but very unlikely. If you flop, they're going to get another shot unless there's some sort of thing that you're seeing that is a through line that, like, okay, yeah, I can see some sort of thing. Again, though, we're not seeing it. There's nothing there. And so, unfortunately, this man has to lose his job.
Yeah. Before we continue on, we have almost 40 people watching right now. Please, guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also, I posted the Discord link in the chat once again, so feel free to join. And you might be able to get onto the show and do one of these fan camps with us one night. We do this after every game online, and we also have our Five Stripe Weekly videos put out. It's all about the team and all the news, keeping you up to date. That drops typically on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Continuing on, Gavin says, AJ, I'm sorry you have to witness 3 losses at home in a row, my dude.
I know, man. It has been it's a house of horrors right now, and it's not quite dread when I walk into the stadium, but it is. I'm not happy.
Yeah,
it's
a very blah feeling. It's it's hard when you just don't feel confident about what the team is going to do on that particular day, and even like when we do win, it's like it just feels like
it could have gone either way. Like exactly. Yeah. So
it's like when VAR still or we're not still. It's when VAR first got introduced. You can't celebrate your goals. You essentially you're like, oh man, like that shoe's dropping.
Yeah.
And it's the feeling.
Your stomach just falls right out. Yeah. So Maverick also says, agreed, AJ. You're absolutely right. No feeding bullshit to the fans. Thanks, guys. No, thank you for sticking around watching since 2018, Maverick. We appreciate it. Also, she says, keyword complacency, perhaps spoiled. Thomas Bigelow says, who else has been in for one season? Xabi Alonso, I hope that the door is shown to Pineda. As to bullshit, that is what Bocanera has been slinging all along. Ingest 101 says, Pineda, thank you for your service. Connor Watson, thanks for jumping onto the stream for us earlier tonight. Connor, he says, but as top spending in the league, 75% created team should be much higher than, and the tactical should be a lot clearer, and it's not. Chuck says, time to clean upper house. Brian says, Pineda is costing this franchise financially in many ways, many ways. Team merch, ticket sales, resells, player valuations, quality players wanting to play in ATL. One last remark, Boca out for Maverick. Maverick says, oh, that wasn't your last remark. Here's another one. Boca should have left 2 years ago. Thomas Bigelow says 2 words, Cubo Torres. I would prefer you use those 2 words again. Anta says, the Atlanta curse started when we missed the penalty kick to go up 2-0 against Toronto in the 2019 conference semifinals. Maverick says, oh crap, I missed the Aurora Borealis. Yeah, that was last night and tonight. Good night to you. Thomas Bigelow says, the team looks terribly frustrated on the pitch. You're spot on with your all-star game comments. Gavin says, Almada has Europe on his mind 110%. Thomas asks us,
110.
Yes. Thomas says, system? What system? Tadia says, Almada will be another Barco if he doesn't focus on the here and now. Injaz 101. Go for it.
To be fair, he's already passed Barco.
That's true.
He's a much better player than Barco. We all know this. The problem is, you're not utilizing him to his strengths and not getting him in the positions for him to succeed. So, we know he's talented. So, on that alone, Pineda should be out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Injas 101 says 5 stripes don't stop losing. Thomas Bigelow says instead of holding trophies, we're holding L's at home. He also says and season ticket prices keep rising with a mediocre product. Tadia says it's not that I didn't want him gone. It should have been after last season. The Joseph situation in Miami Leagues Cup told me that what I needed to know. They acted like it was an exhibition game. It was soft. And Brian says the Benz, not agent. I don't know what that refers to. Anyway, so we are finally caught up with all the comments. Keep them coming if you guys. It is almost 1 a.m. I'm amazed. We have 40 people currently watching. Thanks, guys. We made it to 40. And at 12:46 a.m. no less. So we really appreciate you guys. That's awesome. And with that,
it speaks to. Sorry to cut you off, man, but I really want to shout out everyone that's watching because it speaks to the passion that we all have, that we care. We care about Atlanta United. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're all here. Mm-hmm. But the real question is, are the people that are in charge, do they actually care about the club, the fans, the city? Because if they do, something needs to happen.
Yeah, it's really that simple. I feel like it's a tough spot because you want to give people a chance, and you do recognize things that have been put in front of you, and you can't help injuries. But like you said, it's an entertainment business, it's a results-driven business. If you can't get the results that are needed, and you can't do it in a way that's going to keep fans in the stands, then something's going to come to a head. And I feel like in this case, it would be one thing if we were at least winning, but we're not even doing that. And I hate it for Pineda. Again, like I do think that at some point in time he will be a good head coach. It's just that right now, it's just what's needed for us right now is out of his depth. And I feel like we don't have to necessarily wait for us to get everything in line for him to still be there. Like there are other coaches out there that might be able to work with what we have right now. And to use the first year point about Xabi Alonso, another example would be Dolo out in LAFC. But to that point, LAFC gave him a roster that could win. If we're not given a roster that can win, you get what you get, and we still haven't done that. And I feel like Pineda's, like I said, it's a tough hand, but that's just a break sometimes.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's far better coaches than him have failed.
Yeah,
and I mean, unfortunately, it's just I think it's also this. You can be a fantastic coach, and we all know, like, Jose Mourinho, he's a good coach, but sometimes the well just runs dry. The message just becomes tired, and sometimes it's just time that you have to implement change. And 2+ years, almost 3, it's been time.
Yeah. So coming in hot, Felipe Cardenas on Twitter saying the lack of conviction from Atlanta United's players over the last few weeks has been evident. And when he was talking about the last 45 minutes of the game, he says the Atlanta United project under Gonzo Pineda, these next 45 minutes are very big for him. And then he also said that the Mercedes-Benz Stadium was supposed to become a fortress again for Atlanta this season. It's become a temple of doom.
Yep.
So unfortunate verbiage from Felipe Cardenas. So a couple more comments coming in. You guys are wild tonight. Let's see. Brian says
something to say.
I know. Yeah, seriously, they came out.
That's something to say. Exactly.
Yeah. let's see. Thomas says, gents, thank you for this. I'm in LA, so it's only 9:48 here. As to if the front office cares, this is the same front office that continues to employ CBN Nuffstead. Brian says, I'm in Spokane, Washington, so it's early for me as well. Appreciate our West Coast buddies. Injaz101 says, AJ and crew, have you ever noticed Muyumba facing his own goal when he keeps losing the ball? It kills me. He is too much of a liability being in the center spine player. Any thoughts on that? Yeah, I mean, I think this is not just a Mayumba issue. I feel like a lot of our players receive the ball with their backs facing the opposing goal or facing our goal. A lot of what I see with our team is too slow. A lot of it is just too slow. Decision making is too slow. Movement is too slow. People are not,
go for it. Sort of cut in here, but yeah, there's so many moments where basically fans in the stadium were like, they're calling for the pass to come earlier, and because they can see it. And granted, when you're on the pitch, it is definitely harder to able to see some, by
they
proxy.
can't see overhead. They can't see overhead.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly.
They're not playing FIFA.
Yeah, but
you know what? Go ahead.
Yeah, it is this because there was a play that's just absolutely bugged me to no end when I think it was Schlieff. I'm not exactly sure now. I can't remember who it was that won the ball in our half, and then one player was just still checking to see if he was going to be onside, and he was in our own half. Just make the run, and then because he still had so long to go, but instead another player ball watching instead because you weren't going to be offside. Just make the run. Yeah. But he was still just ball watching, checking, and then once the ball came, it was too late. The defender was able to get to the ball, and it's just like if he had made the run, he would have been there, and it wouldn't have even mattered. We would have had a great counter. He would have been in acres of space. But that's just the microcosm of players not seeing where they need to be occupying or playing with conviction.
Yeah. Further to your point, I'll let Grego say his thing in a second, but before I lose it in my head, there was a couple of times I saw Firmino when he came on, he would try and make a run to stretch the back line, but then the pass would never come. Multiple times he tried to do this to make something happen, and they just didn't have the vision for it. So that was unfortunate to see. He was trying, and I give him credit for that.
And eventually players stopped making those runs.
Yeah.
So,
what were you going to say, Grego?
No, I was going to say that I feel like in a lot of ways, like our tactics are like somebody who has a very basic level of FIFA skills, and it's like all you're trying to do is just push it up right to the middle, and again, like if that's all you could offer, like a team with a relatively good defense, all they have to do is just say, okay, let's put about 5 or 6 right here, within the box, and you're stuck. And until you can figure out something, because like even Shande's kind of cooled off a bit, and Saba got lucky with that own goal. Until you know that those guys are humming, all they got to do is just focus on GG and Almada, and it makes their job even harder to do. So we have to find answers as far as getting our wingers not just involved, but also finishing to where it will allow Almada and GG to breathe.
Absolutely. So, in terms of also FIFA players, in terms of skilled FIFA players, you're looking at 2 players who are not very good at the game. Conversely, Gavin has chimed in with saying, I'm pretty solid on FIFA, so I guess hire me. I could do better than Pineda. And we're also joined in the chat by stream legend Tommy Moose is stopping by in the chat to say hi. He says, still going? Power to you. I tapped out. You want seconds? You want to come in here? Mix it up a little bit, Tommy? You still got some more left in the tank? So that's it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've caught up with the comments. Any more
Yeah.
opinions you guys want to throw out?
I think it's about time to wrap. Probably, I'm about to pass out too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Grego, let us have your final thoughts.
Time's ticking. Like I said, it's really, I'd say a month. Like if things don't pick up in a month, I don't see how Pineda lasts. But I think he's gone before Lee's Cup. And another quick thing, real quick, I am, especially given how things went in the U.S. Open Cup match, I'm very curious to see if Cohen gets more opportunities before Lee's Cup.
Because, yeah, something we haven't touched on tonight is that Guzan, he did have a pretty good match. The first one, he couldn't really do anything about, but I think the second and third ones probably could have had a little bit of a say in stopping those. But, I mean, yeah, Guzan has been doing his best. Whether it is the best for the team right now, maybe. We'll see. But, yeah, Cohen, the shot-stopping ability, I don't know if it would have stopped those goals tonight, but
And one last thing to your point about Guzan being keeper, if we don't have the leadership in the midfield and elsewhere in the 11, it only makes Guzan's job harder at trying to be captain and trying to lead everything, because where else are you going to have the leadership? Because you can only do but so much when you're in net. Like, you have to have leaders elsewhere, and right now we're thin on that. So
yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah, AJ knows I'm a big fan of pylon players. We need more of those. Thomas Bigelow says, tactically, if you know Benteke is strong in the air, cut out the crosses. That's a pretty obvious one. Yeah. He also says, you're nice in giving him a month. Next week, if we don't get 3 points, gone in Sunday.
I probably am, but you know.
On Sunday. Yeah, so Injez101 also says, I'm just frustrated all around. Saba, sorry y'all, he is almost a really good player. Man, he has missed like 5 goals in the past 3 games. Thoughts? I don't get him.
Yeah, I think he's bereft of confidence, and you know, a lot of players are confidence-based players, as we've talked about. And I mean, I think you can see it. Okay, yes, you have when players come into the league, the book's not on them yet, so yes, they will probably perform their best if they are experienced players. But yeah, pretty much every player has regressed or gotten worse since they've gotten here. So, but yeah, we'll let you go, Grego. I do want to comment that your glasses and your pen make you very distinguished. So yeah,
Professorial. Shout out your podcast and everything where everyone can find you too.
Yes, well, whenever we do record, we of course, I'm sure you guys know by now, but yeah, our account got hacked a couple months ago, so like we were having to like rebuild everything. But you can find us on Instagram at FTC UTD Pod. You can still find us on Twitter at our old handle at just at FTC UTD. But yes, find us wherever you can, and you know, like I said, we're still out here doing the good work.
All right,
absolutely, man.
appreciate
Always a
you.
pleasure having you. Have a great rest of your night, man.
You too.
Thanks for hanging out with us for so long.
No problem.
All right, take care, man.
Much love, man.
All right. Well, that pretty much gets us to the end of this marathon episode. I think we are going to hold off on the wheel until next time. Maybe we'll do a twofer. And we remember, we keep track, we haven't forgotten the forfeits that we owe you. We will be doing them. I just got over a sickness, so I haven't been able to film anything. But I will get back to it. And we'll get AJ on it too, definitely. And we have a surprise third thing for you guys. So that'll be coming in probably next video or 2. So we'll see. Next stream or 2. And I think you guys are going to like it a lot. So with that, barring any more comments, which I do not see, if there's anything you guys want to say in the chat, please hit us up real quick before we get out of here. And barring that, AJ, what are your final thoughts? And that's it, yeah.
Yeah. Final thoughts are, much love to everyone for sticking around to 1 a.m. on this stream. We appreciate you so much. And it is absolutely, it shows the passion that all of us have for this club, the city, and it's, obviously a very, it's a moment that I think is a watershed moment, and that's why we're all here. That's why we feel so strongly, is that there is a change that needs to be made, and if it's not made, these shouts will only get louder, and it's only going to become more and more tough for the club, and we all want the best for the club, and so this really sucks right now. It will get better, but for how much longer will it get better? That's the problem, and that's the crux of it. And hopefully we can make way roads into making that happen very, very, very soon. But we'll sign it out now.
Yeah. Also, catch us on after, like I said, live streams after every game. In the next, maybe I think I might be traveling during the next game, so I'm not sure I'll be able to do it. But within the coming months or so, 2 months or so, we'll be doing giveaways almost every stream. So please subscribe and join the Discord, because that's how we'll be able to enter you into the giveaways. We got a bunch of flags, swag, merch. You'll see. There's pictures in the Discord. You can see all the items and things like that. But yeah, you got to join the Discord in order to participate in that stuff. And
description below if you're not aware. So hop into the YouTube description and you will be able to see all of that. Join us. There's always lots of great discussion in the Discord. So definitely get in there. But much love to all of you. Like I said, for Michael, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We will see you in the next video. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.